Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So, breaking exclusive story here on Pockets of the Future. I know for a fact nobody else has this frickin' story. Today is Friday, December 12th, I believe. Yes, it is. Nailed it again. So I'm the only one covering Erika Kirk's. If not, everyone else is a copycat. Erika Kirk's snot rag issue, right? She has, been dabbing her eyes with these snot rags and been going on these interviews and fake crying and doing all these things. But there's been a development here. Like I was covering this in video maybe two videos ago or last video, 2 videos ago. And Erika Kirk,
And that's why he wanted to share it with everybody.
so she dabs her eyes here. You guys all saw this, right?
I want to show you a moment because
And then she's going to take her snot rag and jam it right into this couch cushion.
you're just talking about your
Boom!
kids.
Yeah.
We're jamming it in here, right? And so the development is this. Later on, some blessed intern had to go and retrieve the snot rag from the couch. And to the intern's surprise, when they unfurled the snot rag, they found this. Somehow, Erika's mucus and makeup and her love and devotion to her husband and Jesus created this image on the snot rag. Now there's a picture of Charlie Kirk and Jesus, much like the Shroud of Turin, embedded in the snot rag. And this miracle that happened, the intern returned this to Erika Kirk, the Blessed One, and now she is selling this on eBay. The starting bid is $1.7 million. You can own this today. You can go to eBay. Go to the username Erika needs her Shekels, and you can get her snot rag with her mucus, her makeup, and devotion and love for Jesus and Charlie, and have this miraculous image, much like the Shroud of Turin. This couch snot rag has now become one of the miracles of the Christian tradition and religion. Via Erika Kirk, you can own this. It's starting bid at $1.7 million. Who knows where this is going? But don't be sucked in by duplicates, right? This is, a once in a lifetime type situation. But there it is. Maybe there'll be more. Like, we don't know how many miracles she has. I mean, she is wearing lots of makeup, and she does exude a lot of mucus. So this could be, But again, right now it's one of a kind. And I mean, it's a steal at $1.7 million. And so I spent the whole morning doing this. I spent the whole morning doing this. It came out pretty good. Anyways, let's get into the other stuff here. So I started off here. This is how I started my day. Adobe has a thing called Firefly. And I was going to, I have Adobe, Creative Cloud or whatever. That's how I edit my videos. And so I set a picture of Charlie Kirk and Jesus on a Kleenex in style of Jesus on toast or something. And they put Jesus and Charlie Kirk with glasses for some reason, because they don't know what Charlie Kirk looks like. And they put it on a Kleenex. And so I was like, all right, I've got it. Then I said this one, and that's somehow Charlie Kirk there. And then I said, all right, Charlie Kirk and Jesus on a Kleenex. They put the word Kleenex here. And so, and there they are, not very good. And I told them to do it in black and white. And so that was better, but obviously not Charlie Kirk. And then I said more faded and this, but then for some reason they wanted Charlie. They don't know who Charlie Kirk is. The Firefly does not know who Charlie Kirk is. And they put him with a beard and glasses. I said, no glasses, and they put him with a beard. And I said, no beard and glasses on Charlie. So I came up with that one. I figured that was as good as it's going to get. And I put it into Photoshop and I faded it. So, which I've already closed, so I can't show you that. So that was the best they could do there. And, pretty good for multiple attempts. And I've, so that's how I spend my morning. All right, let's get into the other stuff here. Okay, so, in retrospect, maybe I should try to get a Jewish star Israeli flag on there or something. But that whole bit was inspired by this wonderful comment. I got these comments yesterday. Is this the one here? No. The picture just popped up with the other stuff here. Okay, so here is the comment. The person writes, "Gee, you hate that. Gee, you hate women." Candace and Erika finally go at it, and you will never guess where Erika hides her snot rag. That's the title of the video. Gee, you hate women. You mean because you're saying that Candace Owens and Erika Kirk are the epitome of all women, right? Because I come in a little bit hard on Candace in the beginning because of her claim that some bullshit thing she's pitching, it can only lead to the government full confession, which, that the military was involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, which is never going to happen. Gee, you hate women. What garbage. On and on about her snot rag. People like the snot rag tracker. I mean, it's pretty gross. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to pretend it's not gross. But I'm not the one stuffing into couches and, fake crying and all that shit. But anyways, people like it. Lots of positive comments. They wanted me to do it's a continuing bit. What garbage. On and on about her snot rag. You have lost your audience. You are just like the ones you criticize. Thumbs down. Are you, and somebody wrote below that, bye. So you think that you're my audience? Is that what you think? Because you're saying I lost you, which I don't care. So first of all, that's not true. Like, if you could go back, it's something you can scroll through. I think you can look at anybody's channel, like I do with TPUS Gay. I mean, I did this. You could do the same thing I did. I mean, you could have the ability to figure things out. I'm not like some technological savant, although I just did generate a picture of Charlie Kirk and Jesus on a snot rag. So I don't want to minimize my technical abilities. So since if you scroll back right before the Charlie Kirk thing, my video views were down to about 2,000 a view, a video. And, they used to be 15, 20,000. And of course I made, the big thing that happened was YouTube shadow banned me. So like we're not even talking about the same type of thing, right? YouTube has been shadow banning me and the people like me. It's amazing my channel has survived over the different iterations of YouTube's bullshit policies, right? But somehow I've been able to survive. And recently, the last 3 or 4 years, it's just been going down and down and down, slowly. And, 2,000 views is nothing per video for me, right? That's a lot of people. Like 2,000 people is a lot of people. But for me, for most people, it is, who do this as a job, that's just, it's abysmal. And then there was the miracle of Charlie Kirk's death, which I didn't know who he was, and I had no plans on covering it. I mentioned it in one video, like at the end of the video, because people were all saying stuff. I hadn't seen him be shot in the neck. I heard his name, but I didn't even really know what he looked like. I didn't know anything about Turning Point or any of these things. TPUS Gay. And so, the story just went whatever it was, and my video view count went way up. All of a sudden, YouTube started to send my video out to old subscribers who had forgot about my channel, and even new subscribers came in. So I've benefited a little bit, not like crazy. I'm not making Erika Kirk money, right? Or Candace Owens money. Or even, I'm not making the kind of shekels they're making. But, it's definitely boosted my channel. It's one of the reasons I kept on covering it. And, now it's just become funny and like the whole thing. So if you scrolled back, you would see that it isn't true. It's the opposite is there. But the other thing is, I don't care about my audience in that way. I don't, pander to people. I don't have 450 employees I have to worry about, right? That if I come out and piss everybody off and I lose half my audience, I got to fire half my staff, and they have to explain to their kids why they don't have Christmas presents, right? I don't have like that kind of shit. I'm a one-man show. I mean, I now have Adobe Firefly as part of my as part of my team, which I didn't have yesterday, right? But I'm a one-man show. I don't have anything, here, and I have the kind of show where I can say the truth, and people who can, tolerate my personality or whatever abrasive type of things that I project, and the hurt feelings and the butthurtness that most of you guys have, the hypersensitivity, because I'm going to offend you at some point, right? Just because of whatever, because I don't care, and I'm not, pandering to people. I'm not going to say things that aren't true or do things to make my channel more popular, because I could do that. I could say I was a Christian, pretend I was a Christian. I could pretend I was a Trump supporter, like any number of things. I could pretend I was a liberal. I mean, any number of things I could do where I could, pander to one group or another, get a much more, a bigger, audience type of whatever it is. But I have something to offer here. And the number one thing is divinity, the message that divinity is within you, and that's the only solution, connecting to the divinity within you, not through your bullshit religion, but becoming a spiritual person. And that's the solution to our problem, which I say in many different ways over and over again. And very few people listen to it, or at least are able to integrate that into their lives. But that doesn't matter. So, when people say stupid shit like that, right? Like, you've lost your audience. No, you didn't like the Snotrag bit. Okay, that's fine. It's not for everybody. And so my wife and I were talking about this, and I said something about, like the idea came to me that was like, she generated Jesus on the Snotrag. That was, she shoved it to the couch. And the next thing you know, so thank you. So like, you've kept the Snotrag bed going, and who knows where it's going to go from here. I mean, we might have, future, this bit isn't done, perhaps the Kleenex thing. So anyways, there's been some developments. So I have this video that was up, and it's a funny video. It's one of my funnier videos where I think the whole thing's funny. And it is entitled, let me see where this thing, it's entitled TPUS Gay, Making Heaven Crowded with Twinks, and Nano Bible's Ticket to Heaven. And I like that title, but I kind of have to go with this Kleenex thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to the beginning of that video. I think I'm going to do that. I don't think this is going to be a separate video. We'll see how much new content I generate today with these clips. But probably, well, you'll see one way or another. We'll see what happens. But let me read the rest of these comments and see what, if the video becomes too long, I'll just split it into two different videos. And that video will just come out. It's just getting bumped more and more by this whole thing. But, like, I have to take a day off, either Sunday or Monday, of posting content, and then probably Monday, and then Tuesday. Well, I guess this video could go up tomorrow on Saturday afternoon. If I make this a separate video, you guys will see. I'll make a decision. But we'll see what happens. Then the Twink video will probably go up Sunday, and then I'll have Monday will take off, and then Tuesday, TPUS Gay will have their thing on Monday. They're releasing their thing. Your answer to what came first, the seed or the tree, It's the tree, as God does not waste energy. Small things are always responsible for big things. Was a beautiful answer. Then to wrap it all up, you came up with that fucking thing. Um, you can put that fucking thing to bed. And the person writes, namaste. The person meant to say it's the seed, as God does not waste energy. And that's something from Master Chargy, the third master of Sajamar. He used to talk about how if you cut a seed open, there's nothing in it. Like like there's this open, like usually there is like a space, like empty space. And you're like, where's but inside it is a tree, right? Like everything's in seed form. And that's how the Sajmark transmission is. Everything comes in seed form. The Sajmark, the spiritual energy that you receive in the meditation, the Pranhuiti. But this was stuff, that was some of his things that he said, which I always found brilliant. But everything comes in seed form because God, puts things in seed form. And, everything starts in terms of manifestation in the world. Your thought is a seed, right? So your thought becomes a building. Your thought becomes, a picture of Jesus and Charlie Kirk on a clean Snotrag. Like I manifested that today. It started off as a thought, as a joke, and then it became sort of a reality. And then someone wrote here, oh, so funny. Who would have ever thought Big Giant Cursor would evolve into Snotrag Tracker extraordinaire? Man, watching this person sure makes my skin crawl. I adored it just for you. I got a number of people who commented about the Snotrag stuff, and they liked it. It's kind of gross, but it's funny because she stuffed it in a couch and she has this Snotrag problem. So this one, the Deep State set up J.R. Ewing hit. Christian was a patsy. That's kind of funny. And then someone wrote, it is his relative. Another channel broke it down, so it's true. The Neffs are related. Those fucking Neffs. There are Neffs everywhere. So Candace Owens had this thing where she found that there was some guy, a Colonel Neff, right? And that some other channel claims they're related. That channel does, what proof do they have, or can you verify their proof, right? People say shit on the internet all the time, like Alex Jones with his document cam. I got my document cam, and they would show these documents. You're like, oh, he's got documents, right? Where are all the documents? And then he went to debate Pierce Morgan, and he challenged him to a fucking boxing match where he would wear the red, white, and blue boxing shorts. Like that was, and he just went off like, and you knew that he was just a piece of shit actor. Like that's why I was like, oh my God, this guy's a disaster. He went crazy on the Pierce Morgan interview like years ago. It was the first time he was sort of legitimized when Piers Morgan was on CNN. And Alex Jones came on and just fucking shit the bed. Like he just went nuts. And like, where are all your documents, right? And so people say that all the time, they have documents. But then when they go to present them, there's no documents, right? So some other channel said that Blake Neff's, this guy had this guy who was responsible for discovering some tunnel in the Iran-Contra scandal, right? Candace Owens, some guy contacted her, some woman contacted her, and so you got to talk to this guy. And this guy was, hunted down by the cartels and had a 35-year period where he couldn't say anything because he was, he had a gag order, but that gag order came out, like it just lifted for no apparent reason. And Candace Owens got the full story from him. And he was interrogated by a guy named Neff. And Candace goes, I don't know, it sounds pretty fishy. And she was claiming this was some kind of smoking gun, in which, when the story developed, the government would have no choice but to confess. Everything, like some Scooby-Doo mystery where the guy, you unmask him and he confesses everything and says, I would have, gotten away for it, got away with it. It wasn't for your meddling kids, right? But Candace Owens said that this guy Neff, and Blake Neff's the guy I call the angry MAGA twink, TPUS gay. And so then, let me reread that comment. So this person says here, it is his relative. Another channel broke it down, so it is true. The Neffs are related. Those goddamn Neffs. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I've just made a decision. I'm gonna make this video go up on Saturday, and then I have a video up, the other one, which will be up on Sunday. And then Monday I'll take the day off, and then I won't not take the day off because I'll still be doing stuff, but I won't make a video on Monday, and then Tuesday I'll cover TPUS gays, whatever thing they're doing there. Just stop it, fucking knock it off. Just stop it, just stop it. Stop the conspiracy theories. So here is the last comment, which I want to get to some of these other things. I honestly find Candace Owens to be infinitely more annoying than Erika Kirk. With Kirk, there's no premise of reality and authenticity. She's not even trying, it's clear, from the first second that she's lying. And with that understanding, watching her perform is like a bad circus act. But Candace Owens is endlessly pretending she is legit and has important places of truth to impart and clearly needs for her audience to believe and trust her, unlike Kirk, who can't be bothered to do anything beyond phoning in her performance. Owens really is trying to dupe people with her BS. Kirk's narcissism is more of a look at me type, whereas Owens' narcissism more of trust me type. Then there are overlaps in both cases. I think Owens is more of a look at me person. Her thing is all look at me, but that is a genuine opinion, right? I mean, that I agree with most of what this person says in terms of them both sucking, but Candace Owens is far less annoying to me. Like when she I was listening to her show, which I'm going to show you some of it. This is where Erika Kirk tells her to stop, and that's what we're going to get into here in a second. And Erika Kirk is, so fake, and I mean, my ex was like this, and people like this, I don't know how I tolerated it so many years. And I'll talk about that, some of the personal stuff with this. But Erika Kirk, she's so fake. She's so performative, and she expects people to buy into her performance, and that's what this person is missing. She expects everybody treat her like the saint she's pretending to be, and how dare anybody not think she's that, right? Because I'll show you, we'll get into this why she should be a suspect just based on good investigative type of not just journalism but law and order, like police work. And Candace Owens is actually funny. Like, sometimes you can miss her jokes, but she's snarky. And so it's, that part I find okay. I was listening to her thing last night, and I agreed with what she was saying, but just the way she says it, Candace Owens, it's grating. Like, they both suck on a different level. But Candace Owens is a much more, she's much more of a real person. You can be authentic playing a role. Like, you can be, you can show yourself. Erika Kirk, like, she has some fabricated personality. I think she's like MK Ultra type of, I mean, that's, my ex was like that. So, somebody who's had, abuse in such a way they fracture the person's personality, and they never really become they just become a manufactured, entity. People who everything they believe in their social media bullshit. People put out a social media profile and try to show everybody like a different side of them, there's some side of themselves that doesn't really exist. It's 100% contrived and staged, and like she's hard, and there's a darkness in Erika Kirk that she's like an evil, and she's masking it. And I think she believes in her shit, like whatever her role is, she believes in it. Like she's bought into it. Like I'm sure Candace, they all buy into their roles at some point. Just like Stockholm Syndrome. But anyways, let me show you this little clip of a funny thing that Candace Owens did. Okay, so here's an example of Candace Owens being snarky. I thought this was a good quality joke.
Blaze TV. Now, again, this is all a part of a PR blitz for Charlie's upcoming book on honoring the Shabbat, which I'm not going to be doing because I'm Christian. So I'd like to...
Kaboom. Yeah, so she's taking a shot at Charlie a little bit there too, but certainly Erika Kirk and the rest of them. Because he wrote a book on honoring the Sabbath.
Already just say no, okay? Anyways.
So that was a good burn. Like, that's funny. Like, that's a difference between Erika Kirk and what makes her more watchable than Erika, or at least for me, like, 'cause she's snarky. Okay, so if you've been watching my show, my things on Erika Kirk, I've talked often about how she has a darkness inside of her, like this thing right here. She has very, like, her eyes are like the kind of eyes that there's nothing behind it, right? There's, there's she's got a manufactured personality, maybe multiple ones, like, some kind of MK Ultra, I mean, she's an asset in some way, right? And my wife sent me this last night, so I was just talking to my wife about. She says now she's got 3 things on her Christmas list: a Bible, a cross with a Bible inside of it, a professional microscope that you can carry around to read the Bible, and now Erika Kirk's Snotrag. But she has just a fierceness, like a, you know, she's a killer. Like, this is the face of a killer, right? Like somebody who's a sociopath. Like, there's some, she's got a side to her personality, and like it comes out, and like where she goes, she's always laughing and joking and very touchy feely. But then you cross her, and this is what comes out, right? And I'm going to talk about her in terms of, the stuff that reminds me of my ex, and very similar eyes, these kind of cold, dead eyes, right? But this is just great. It's like watching a demon react to the name of Jesus Christ. So she starts off with her nano Bible here, and then boom, she gets a little hard, and then boom, there it is, right? And then boom, there it is. Like, there it is. There's the real Erika, right? The darkness within, and somebody who, masks the darkness with smiling and laughing and all the stuff that she does, and then they're trying to make her a mama bear. This is her mama bear protecting her babies, her employees, and we'll get to that as we go through this other stuff here. So there's an interview coming out Saturday with the head of CBS, Barry Weiss. When Candace Owens did a good interview with this guy, Norman Finkelstein, who is a Jewish liberal reporter who has been just, decimated, a professor. He's a professor. And they wrecked his career. The Zionists wrecked his career, right? Because he was, I don't want to say pro-Palestine, but he stood up for the people of Gaza. And we reported on all this Zionist bullshit. And, he had no career. But none of these guys want to debate him, none of these Zionist shills. And he and Candace Owens were just savaging Barry Weiss for being somebody who has no skills, no talent, stupid, no resume. And now she's the head of CBS because CBS is caving to Trump and Israel. And she is like a pro-Zionist piece of shit, which makes, Erika Kirk going on her show and them airing the interview on Saturday night, the Shabbat. I think that's what they said. It's like, these are previews that they're releasing, right? So it's fucked up that Erika Kirk is putting out there that everyone should put their phones away and turn off their devices and have a Saturday. And then she does this epic interview with this Israeli shill, which shows that she's not honoring Charlie Kirk's movement away from Israel at the end of his life. Were they even like fucking married? Like, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to believe that this is a real relationship. Nothing with Erika Kirk can be seen real. But here is a clip.
One of the people that we should study when it comes to being unimpressive and just getting handouts anyways. It's like welfare. I feel like she's on welfare. Like, we all have to work, and she gets promoted. And
she's talking about Barry Weiss.
She's going to be unimpressive in this clip because that's her default. She can't even convincingly ask the prepared, loaded question that she is going to deliver to Erika. And this question, like I said, has likely, by the way, been reviewed and marked up by lawyers, but she still is not even convincing, despite having it ahead of time, in this delivery. Take a listen.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay, so let me she was saying this in various places. Let me show you my meme.
To stop.
So this is just to me. I'm going to also let you know they pre-recorded this. Obviously, I told you this yesterday from about 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. I have sources just everywhere. CBS News, the people that were in the audience.
She's got just sources everywhere.
Showed you were emailing me, and they had to do multiple takes because Barry wanted to read a prompter. These questions were pre-submitted, okay? And I would like to respond to this loaded question. What would you like to say? The podcaster Candace Owens, and I'm not even going to address this repeat talking point about people making money, except for the people that have actually made off of all of the money, millions upon millions of dollars. But this is the new thing. It's like if you keep doing what you were already doing in podcasting, or keep doing what you were already doing and doing ballistics on YouTube, if you catch a bunch of views, they want to convince you that like you wake up and you turn into a millionaire. Building her business. What are you talking about?
Okay, and I want to say something too. The media has been covering fucking dramatic, horrific shit for years. Mainstream media. And, when people say to me, oh, that's clickbait, which almost never happens anymore. But when people would say to me, that's clickbait, I would say, if I, not that I consciously do clickbait, right? But anything that I have to do to connect with people who want shit, right? Like people want fucking lowbrow shit. It's not my fault. Like you're competing against your thumbnail, your title. You have to draw people who want degraded shit in. I have to cover stuff all the time that's in the cesspit and is in the cesspool because that's what people want. And if I just talk about divinity within you, which is, my primary message here, that God is within you and forming a relationship with the divinity within you. I mean, people, that's a big leap for almost everybody, especially people in America, because that's not in your religion. I mean, Jesus says the kingdom of heaven's within, which is, an ignored teaching, and people don't even think about what that means, and that you have a soul. Where's your soul? Why don't you connect with your soul, right? Where's, what's your soul doing right now? What does your soul want? What is your soul's purpose here? Like people don't even ask those questions. And so that's, for remedial spiritual people in a very spiritually suppressive part of the world, the culture, that's a big deal to say those things and people can hear them over and over again. And, I saw right off the bat to make this channel viable and reach, any number of people, I had to cover fucking cesspit shit. And I wasn't psyched about it, right? Who wants to go into the cesspit when I don't care about almost any of this stuff? I mean, I don't really care about all of it. But, some of it's humor, some of it's interesting. Sometimes I look forward to seeing what happens. Like I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what happens Monday with TPUSK. I know what's going to happen. I know how they're going to suck. But, I'm looking forward to watching it play out when they confront this, conspiracy theory bullshit. And Erika Kirk's going around saying stop, which, I'll address as she goes on that the Blaze guy, the Blaze TV guy, whatever his name is. So we'll see him in a second. And so, this thing where they say, you need clickbait or you make clickbait or you have to do these things. It's because of you guys. It's not because I suck. It's because you suck, right? It's because you guys got your head in the cesspit. Because like you guys want, like when QAnon came in, they just came out with outlandish, crazy, fucking gross shit, stupid shit, and people loved it. It's because we live in a WWE society where Trump can embrace the WWE style with everything, including this bullshit assassination attempt, and people lap it up like it's idiocracy, right? Like it's not my fault that I have to deal with idiocracy, and I'm not psyched about it. I was bummed. I was in India when my channel was popping. And I had some inheritance money. My mom had just passed away, and I had some inheritance money that came in. And my ex had, was leaving and abandoning me and the kids, which was great, worked out wonderful, but it was sucky at the time, stressful. I had a daughter who was at risk and, she was using self-abusive behaviors that she learned from my ex, right? So that was like, a nightmare. Um, you know, Time was very chaotic. My other daughter was sick all the time. We were in India. I had nowhere to go back home in America, no friends, no family, no support system. And I had to make this channel viable. And I knew there was like a divine mandate. It was, like I was being ordered by God it was just this thing. And I looked at my top 10 videos, and I had only made like 9 of them that were about like celebrity shit. And they were the best videos in terms of viewer and making money, in terms of the amount of viewers and making money. And I'm like, holy shit, I got to make more of these things. Like, I didn't mind doing them every once in a while. Like in like a 4-year period, I made 9 of them. The Michelle Obama one, these other things. But I'm like, I'm going to do this regularly. Like I didn't want, Hollywood was like disgusting to me, right? Like just not just not interested, just gross. And I was kind of bummed, and I was just like, all right, this is what you got to do. To do the work that you've been assigned by God, you have to dive into the cesspit. And so when all these people say you're making money off of this, whatever it is, they pander, they've made this degraded content, mainstream media, and the news has gone after, dramatic gross shit for years, scandals, and people have lapped it up, and then reality TV and all the low-level, lowbrow shit that's out there. You guys are the ones who've made it like this, right? And then you're going to accuse independent people of having to embrace these things to get views. Of course, the fucking, you've degraded it, right? You're degrading it like the fucking CBS and the mainstream media.
Already had this business. I was already at the top of the charts. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk about it. I actually did because it's so ridiculous. Okay. But she says, I'm lying. And Erika responds, and her answer to what do you want to say to the podcaster Candace Owens who is lying is stop. So Erika would like me to stop lying. And
okay, so she goes into all the things that what am I lying about, right? Which is, they made a mistake here. And I think they were trying to play it this way. I don't know. Because Candace Owens came out initially and said, the only 2 people who get me to stop are my husband and Erika Kirk. This was like 2-3 months ago when I first started covering this. And, I thought that was a stupid thing to say because Erika Kirk was obviously a shill. And I think Erika Kirk saying stop, which she's saying all over the place. She keeps on saying stop. She said in 4 or 5, 3 of the interviews that I saw, she said stop in a very forceful way. And I'll get into that in a bit. We'll expand on that in a moment when I cover something else here. But the thing about it is, this question was so stupid, like, making it about crazy conspiracy theorists and lies and putting in an Israeli shill that's on CBS News, and they're going to post this on the Sabbath, the Shabbat, and when they're pushing this book out and like everyone's supposed to turn off their technology, but Erika Kirk's interview is going to be broadcast on Saturday, and then the Monday she's coming in with her team to go after the so-called conspiracy theorists. It's fucking going to backfire epically. And I don't know if they just don't understand it or like they're aliens. I don't know what the fuck problem is. That they don't understand, how badly they're handling this unless it's intentional, right? With her asking the question in that way, saying, why are you, what do you want to say to all these people who are making money off of these lies? Now, Candace Owens doesn't think they're lies. At least, that's the character Candace Owens doesn't think they're lies. I mean, some of them are weird and exaggerated, but whatever. And we don't think they're lies, right? The stuff I put out there, I mean, I don't think, some of them are jokes, whatever it is. Some are speculative stuff, but they're not lies, right? And so if they're going to try to come in and say Candace Owens said to Erika Kirk, if you tell me to stop, I'll stop. But the way they worded that question was stop lying. And then Candace Owens then runs with this. I'm not going to show it to you. But she lists all these things that she considers facts and things that TPUSK has lied about. And so, like, she doesn't have to stop. Like, if she said stop all your stuff, Erika Kirk said that, then Candace Owens would kind of be on the hook. But, Erika Kirk's so weird about this. She doesn't want to address her personally. Somebody said she's unfollowed her or something like this. Like weird, subtle, fucking subversive shit that they're doing, like backhanded stuff. But just come out and say, Candace Owens, I want you to stop going after my people and these things. And I guess they're going to say this in the interview on Monday. But then it's too late, right? Because they made it about lies, right? They made it that all these things are lies, and Candace Owens knows they're lies, and all of us know they're lies. And so it's just fucking stupid, right? It's a horrible, stupid way to play this thing. All right, so then there was a second clip here. Okay, so then there was this part.
Also sat down with Glenn Beck of Blaze TV. Now, again, this is
Now,
all
Glenn Beck was the ultimate, like he was an Alex Jones knockoff. And, everything led to Soros, right? Everything was about Soros. And he would, come in with these, very complex conspiracies and put them up on a chalkboard and, put all the strings together, Alex Jones-esque. I mean, the stuff that Candace Owens is doing with the Egyptian planes, Glenn Beck was doing it for dumb fucks on Fox News, like the dumbest of dumb fucks, on Fox News. And then he's like flamed out. He was like their number one show. Like everyone was into it. Like the people who were right wing. He was like the original QB. He had this thing called Project 912, which was like how you felt out about the day after 9/11. And he wanted to expand on that feeling you had of patriotism and all these things. Let's, create a project based on that feeling we felt the day after, like weird shit like that, right? But he, and then he's got this bullshit thing now, right? But he's just like slime. And they're asking these leading questions.
part of a PR blitz for Charlie's upcoming book on honoring the Shabbat, which I'm not going to be doing because I'm Christian. So I'd like to already just
Kaboom. There it is again.
say no. Okay. Anyways, Glenn Beck's interview has a bunch of high points, if you will. Foremost, Erika stressing that she believes that the truth is clear. Take a listen.
I don't know how you handle this, Eric.
Look at this fucking guy. Like, he's just a mess. That fucking guy, this guy trainer. Look at her. Like, it's like a fucking, I mean, is that a person? Look at the size of that fucking face. I mean, look at that.
I don't know how to be dragged into, you were involved in the death and all this crazy, evil stuff.
Crazy, evil stuff. You gonna cry? Crazy, evil stuff. Look at her. Look at her go fucking full fucking. Look at her go full demon here. Go demon, Erika.
Oh, it's sick.
It's sick. It's sick. It's so sick.
God bless you.
Sick.
God bless you. It is.
My family means everything to me. Turning Point USA has always been in our life and has always been so good to Charlie, and Charlie was good to his team. Everyone loved Charlie.
Yeah.
I get that. Everyone wants...
I get that. Well, she says that a lot. I get that. What do you mean you get that? Like, what are you talking about? You get that. Like, what do you like? I mean, like there's. This is I'm gonna go over to voiceover in a second. Let's watch the end of this.
Everyone wants an answer to this evil.
To this evil.
And sometimes the answer is very clear.
Yeah.
The truth is
I
very clear.
Okay, so let me go to a voiceover here. So this idea of, so first Candace Owens is going to get into how no one is directly accusing Erika Kirk, that she hasn't heard anybody accuse her of, when people say Erika Kirk murdered her husband, well, she didn't pull the trigger, right? And so what I've said over and over again is there's no way they can pull off an operation like this without having Erika on board. Because these things are always about victim consciousness, right? They're always about poor me and, who's victimized. And the self-righteousness that she puts out there, it's about that, the self-righteousness. I'm the grieving widow, right? The cries of this widow be heard around the world, like this kind of bullshit. Whenever they do a staged event and people are killed, the loved ones, except for the 9/11 moms, like the wives, these people who were ignored, right, because they didn't believe in the official story. These things Tucker Carlson did an interview, which I haven't heard, with one of them. But, you know, all these things, right? But, you know, remember the Pat Tillman family. When Pat Tillman was killed, when murdered, they called it, you know, friendly fire accident. But, you know, he was somebody who was turning. Like, he went to war to support, you know, George W. Bush in this movement. And he realized the whole thing was bullshit. Him and his brother, he gave up his football career. And they killed him. And they did very similar things that Charlie Kirk tried to, you know, to control the narrative, and his family wasn't having any of it. And they you know, they just kept their family, you know, out of the media, right? But the family made their own videos, and, you know, they went truther, you know, they were homeschooling kind of truther type people. And they were, you know, they weren't having the bullshit that was surrounding his fake, you know, the way they killed him, this fake narrative that was out there, right? But it's always about victim consciousness. So they have to get the wife. They can't have the wife as a loose end who might, you know, rat them out or, you know, whatever. And I don't think they had a real marriage. I think that she's just an operative. So I don't even know if those kids are real. I mean, all things seem fake. But this idea that somehow she shouldn't be a suspect, right? So, you know, if you watch any murder mysteries on TV and you watch any cop shows or any real life, you know, cop investigations, police investigations, like I said before in my maybe last video, the wife, the spouse, is always a suspect. And, you know, they're always looking for motive, like who benefited, right? That's, you know, motive. Motive is a big generating, you know, like somebody makes a lot of money. She's made $140 million, according to Candace Owens, $10,000 a plate at Mar-a-Lago. Like, she's the CEO and owner of this company. This isn't a publicly traded company. She owns the company. And they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars in, you know, money, donations, and whatever else is. They have property. They have a campus. They used to have a following. They used to have an audience, which is valuable. You know, they have a mailing list. She's going to make bank off of this book. And so, you know, her saying she loves Charlie and she's a good Christian woman. So, God, why would you guys ever accuse me? We'd accuse you because you've just inherited $300 million of assets, right? You know, whatever Turning Point is worth. And now you're CEO of a company and you obviously dig it. And, you know, where before you were a housewife, you know, now you're, you know, she was in New York City. She tried to be on reality TV shows. She's a model and actress. She was in music videos. She was, you know, like, I was doing all that so I could witness for Christ. No, you're doing it because you want to be seen and you want to be successful. She's somebody who's driven, right? You can see it. Like, she immediately, I mean, within days, she was given a speech as CEO of the company and taking over the company, right? And she was, you know, moving into this space, which was part of the plan. So, you know, when that's the case, of course she's a suspect. She's one of the people who benefited, and she had access to him, and she was, you know, she was an insider, and she Judased him, right? Like, that's more than likely the case, right? At least she should be. It's okay to say that she's a suspect. And then all the other people at TPUS Gay, they're also suspects, right? Because they've all made money, and there's some shady shit that Charlie wanted a Doge-style audit. You know, people are looking into the finances, and again, I can't verify or validate what they're saying, but there's hundreds of millions of dollars coming in, and it's, you know, shady money to promote a genocide. I mean, this is all shady shit, right? It was to promote the piece of shit Trump. And so they're all suspects, right? Based on motive and access, right? They all have a lot of motive, especially with Charlie Kirk turning on Israel and doing an audit where he could have came up with all kinds of, you know, I mean, who knows where the money was being embezzled, what was going with the money. And also, you know, he had served his purpose, and Israel was pissed at him. He was turning on Israel, that kind of stuff. And, you know, all of it. So it's not like crazy or evil to ask those questions. And she's so fake, like, obviously fake to pretty much everybody. Like, she doesn't have fans. Like, she has a small segment of these people who are fans, right? The majority of people are not, you know, buying into her bullshit, right? And they might start editing the comments, and that was something Charlie would never do. Like, he was against that form of what he would call censorship, right? But they're going to start doing that because, you know, they don't want to be ratioed anymore, but they can't do that on Twitter, on X, and all those other places. And everyone knows that, this isn't a battle because Candace has 95% of the audience on her side. Even if they don't like Candace, they agree with her. 95% of the people agree with Candace. And, 5% of, like, really dumb fuck old, whatever, people who are, like, just challenged are believing Erika Kirk's bullshit, her fake acting bullshit. But all of this stuff that she's saying on Glenn Beck and these other places, the premise that she's putting out there is because she is this saintly woman, she is this godly woman, this performance she's given. She is such a great Christian, and she says she loved Charlie so much, and she, held up the devil's horns, but man, I love you because, the thumb was out, right? And all the stuff that she's doing shows her love for Charlie, her weeping and the grieving, and she's just a grieving widow. How dare you question my love for my dead husband? How dare you question the love of these employees that work for him, these loyal employees? We're all such good Christians. But they're not good Christians. There's no godly energy coming from them. Even, I talk about the how religions suck and how it disconnects people from God. But there are real good Christians out there. And there's people who, live the way Christ, they're good examples of Christ-like behavior, right? There are good Christians. There's good people in every religion and good fundamental Christians who do good work, without being in front of everybody. They just go about their day. I mean, there's good, spiritual, godly people everywhere. Small percentage of the population, but in every religion and everything. It's a blue jay on outside the window there. And so she's not one of them, and the people at TPUS Gay aren't. It's a political organization, and they suck, and they're like, it seems like these are all gay dudes. I'm going to show you, I got a clip from that, you'll see it in a moment. That whatever the guy is, Nick Fuentes. Like, he's so gay. Like, we're finding all these gay dudes who are Republicans. Like, most of them, and that guy, Milo, whatever, Yiannopoulos, was saying most of these guys are gay. And, as I've looked into this thing, they all seem very gay. It's the bunch of angry twinks over there, low testosterone, metrosexual, very effeminate, not these right-wing, manly men who are heterosexual guys with marriages. And it doesn't seem like they have any of those guys who are out as Republican pundits. Megyn Kelly's husband seems kind of gay. So does Candace Owens. And if they're not, they're just effeminate. They're not like, these traditional Republican Christian males that they put out there, right? But these people aren't trustworthy. They're fucked up. They're like putting out weird content, and they're weird. Like, they're not. It's her saying you should just trust us because we say we're Christian. I know in my heart these people would never do that, and you should just trust me because I've been grieving and crying. She thinks people are buying into her shit, right? And so somebody said that she erased that video of her and her husband, Charlie Kirk, when he was in the casket. I think it's hard to find because I thought she had erased it too, but then I found it because it's under a different, whatever it is. But, it was so fake. Everything was so fake. And she doesn't know how, like, I think she's so messed up psychologically because this is where she reminds me of my ex. My ex was fake to devotional and, more better than Erika Kirk, but had these same kind of over the top, where, if you called bullshit, if you said like she was a fraud or a fake, she would just implode because, she had been sexually abused by her dad and her mom, and mom had emotionally and physically abused her, and she had gotten the kind of the MK Ultra experience without, being a part of the program, and she would flip out when you didn't buy into her bullshit. Like, she started to, she believed these things, and some of it was true. Like Erika Kirk knows things also similarly. Knows things about Jesus and knows these things in principle. But it's all a fake character she's created and believes in. Like, she believes in her own bullshit, right? But, like, she's probably not even dealing with the fact that she signed off on Charlie's death and she's rationalized it in some way. But she, expects all of you, everyone, to believe she's the saint. Megyn Kelly was putting it out there. Megyn Kelly's commented on this stuff, and she says she's going to wait till Monday to give her opinion, I assume she's going to back Erika Kirk. Just the way, that in a similar way to the way Tucker Carlson backed Candace Owens. But either way, we'll see which way she goes, because Erika Kirk is certainly Zionist up, and going on this show with the CBS show with Barry Weiss isn't going to help that image. Like she's going back to being a Zionist, but she expects that everybody not question or say that she's a legitimate suspect, because of course she is, right? Her very rich husband got murdered, and she inherited all the shit, right? Like, if that was a murder mystery, one of those Knives Out murder mysteries, that would be and the way Erika Kirk would be played, like in one of these kind of sort of semi-liberal shows, as the fake Christian wife who's weeping but it's insincere and nobody buys it, she would be a suspect, right? She might not have done it, because they might be using her as a red herring, a way to distract people in the murder mystery, but she would be the prime suspect. And so it's not wrong to say she's a suspect, but she's so spiritual, and how dare these people? I'm such a godly Christian woman. How dare they say that? Well, that's what the murderer would say, right? That's what a wife who did did Judas, her husband, would say, and get angry and outraged. How dare you? How dare you? Right? So my ex was I was telling my wife this. She was living in Colorado, and she is a preceptor in the Sajmark system. And there was a Indian preceptor there, and there's about 15 or so people, they're all Indian, who were doing the meditation. And him and his family were moving back to India or something like that. And so my ex was supposed to take over. And she tried to win all these people over, and she went over the top, very much like Erika Kirk goes, right? The way that Erika Kirk says evil, and, like this, she fakes, this whole thing she does, this fake Christian stuff. And they all quit. The people quit. And the master of the system was kind of bummed. My ex had pushed them all away. And one of the people said, "Your devotion scares us, sister." Right? One of these Indian people. Because, she was just fake and over the top. And, this is very similar to Erika Kirk in this way. It's a certain type of personality. Like there's a perfectionism there. Somebody who, there was a young woman who was, OCD. And she was like in high school or something. And she had to win everything, top student, right? One of these overachievers. And she was like a marathon racer, or like a distance racer. And she was losing this race. It was like, a race through a town, a city. And she couldn't handle losing, and she jumped off a fucking bridge in the middle of the race, right? Like that kind of personality who can't handle, they flip out when they believe so much in their own bullshit and their lies, and they externalize everything, and they're in this performance. And Erika Kirk, like she can't be called out on being a fraud. Like she can't face all that stuff, right? She can't face it. The people aren't buying into her act. And so, like, how dare you question me as a Christian woman? This is where that's coming from. Just stop it. I'm a godly Christian saintly woman, and I'm right with Jesus. And when I say stop, stop. Right? I'm telling you that this is the story. That can't be me or my people. We wouldn't do something like that. Just stop. Stop all this crazy nonsense. Go with the official story. Go on CBS and with this Israeli shill and do all, these kind of things. No, all these things that you guys believe is bullshit, and it has. Stop the conspiracy theories. And that's not how the internet works, and nobody fucking likes her or believes her. Everyone knows she's a fucking fraud, right? I mean, 95% of their fans, and then everybody else. Like everybody fucking else, who's interested in this story, thinks she's a piece of shit fraud. And yet she's putting all that shit out there like it's just, it's horrible. Like it's just so bad. All right, anyways, let's get back to it here. So we're going to go to TPUS Gay next. So this whole video came out of Nick Fuentes.
What, people calling me gay because I've never had a girlfriend? I think if anything, it makes me less gay.
What the fuck?
Anything, it makes me not gay. As opposed to less gay. Not that there's any gay, but it makes me not gay.
Not that there's any gay. Not that he's gay at all.
Well, because think about it this way. you know, a gay people do date girls all the time.
Boom. Strong point. Solid fucking point. Yes. Yes, I see where you're going with this.
Real. And when I said on Elijah Schaefer's show, when they said, have you ever been in a romantic relationship? Have you ever had sex with a girl? And I said, no. If you name searched me on Twitter, as I always do, all these
Because I love searching my own name.
gay people are coming out and saying, I've had more girlfriends than Nick. I've had sex with more girls than Nick. So like I said last week, not only is that thinking flawed, but actually it's the reverse. That actually makes me really more heterosexual than anybody.
Exactly. There's nothing more heterosexual than never having sex with women and never having a girlfriend. That's the most heterosexual thing you could do. And having sex with dudes. It's the most heterosexual thing you could do. I see where this guy's going. Like, holy fuck. And so, so this is what we're dealing with these right-wing guys who are supposed to be, like anybody else, they could be gay. Like anybody but the right-wing pundits. And, you can have some that are gay, like some there's been some gay Republicans, but, and there's the closeted ones, but the ones that are out as gay, and, you can be a gay Republican. And if you go to these country clubs and you hang around rich people, you see rich people, there's lots of people that are gay that are right-wing Republicans and right-wing people. Lots of gay people who are Christian, that lots of priests and ministry, like all these people. Like there's lots of them, but it's the one group you can't really be gay. Like if you're liberal, yeah, it's better to be gay, right? If you're, any number of people, celebrities, Hollywood people, at this point, you're limited, right, in your roles, but like someone like Rock Hudson, who was gay, but he was a romantic lead in so many movies with women, right? Back when I was a young person. And then later it came out after he was dead that he was gay. But now it's pretty much a badge of honor to be gay, especially, when this was filmed during the Biden, this was, probably when Biden was president. I don't know when this is filmed, right? Even this fucking mustache is gay. Like, the guy is so fucking weird. And, but him coming out and saying...
If we're really being honest, never having a girlfriend, never having sex with a woman really makes you more heterosexual. Because honestly...
Not honestly. And you seem gay, bro, like all these guys do. So, it's the one thing you're not supposed to be gay in, right? And they're all gay. And either that or they're very, they have a lot of estrogen. They're low testosterone. Two beta males sharing a testicle, like the thing I've been saying. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, it's just, it's like, everything's inverted. Like, these guys aren't supposed to be like this, and how are these people who are traditional women, who are, wanting strong testosterone having men? And, some of this is generational. Like, these guys are growing up with the internet. They have just no testosterone. They have no nuts. Like, they're just, these young kids, young men, like all these incels and all these other people, they're just all, they're just low testosterone, low energy, even if they're heterosexual. They're just effeminized. All this estrogen, phytoestrogens, and the plastic and nanoparticles, and the Wi-Fi and stuff cooks your they're just low T, they're just low whatever. But how do these people who are right-wing, Christian people keep on watching these closeted gay dudes? And so with that in mind, let's go to Turning Point US Gay. So they've just put these up yesterday. Look inside TP US Gay's front lines and their dangerous work. Well, let's take a look at that one. This one, the real question we should be asking about Charlie Kirk's murder with Glenn Beck. They brought Glenn Beck onto this thing. That must have been a partner deal. But what I saw here was, here they have the guy Tyler Robinson, some kind of thing here. So we're going to look at the comments at those ones. And we're going to see if they're deleting comments, right? And so Erika reveals Charlie Kirk's final book. All right, so let's look at the comments of all these different videos.
Charlie Kirk believes.
So, 5,000 views. I want to see if this merch company that screwed me is the one they're using. Something doesn't feel right. How is bro still uploading? I tried listening, but what am I listening to? Crazy how it's not remotely close to Charlie's shadow. Just the authenticity. Two worlds. Glad to have more people reporting on the ground. It's lawless out there, and media refuses to cover it. This guy is fake and gay. Change the name. This is literally the Andrew Colvich show. Imagine Charlie reading the title to this video. The video. A look inside TPUS gays' front lines and their dangerous work. Okay, so those are the comments, right? They're getting. There was one positive comment I read when I read that. 90% of all their comments
I just encourage
are bad. Here's Glenn Beck here. What's done in the dark always comes to light. The truth will come out probably sooner than you all think. People are being sifted. He does recognize the times. Charlie Kirk once said, if I'm to be known for anything, I want it to be known for being courageous for faith. We miss you, Charlie. The truth is not evil. Speak it, show it, live it. Never stop questioning. So these are all, subtle digs at them, and I wonder if they're editing these comments. But this is a fairly new video, and it takes a while for all the we are being sifted. And so this is, again, the subtle comments are here, but the more comments will come in later, or they're editing them out, right? But we know what's happening with their, this video's been up for 16 hours, so, they might be editing some of the comments on these. We'll see as this goes forward.
our good
Why it's crucial to have cameras in the courtroom. 100% we need cameras there. We miss you, Charlie. So this should all be that this guy is not the true killer. And so, like I said, they must be going through these comments. Because none of these seem to be going after them. And this is one I would expect the comments to be like, this guy didn't do it. Like this guy, Tyler Robinson, in no position to make demands. He didn't give Charlie any courtesy when he assassinated him in front of cameras, broadcast the trial for the world to see. So none of these are negative comments, and they certainly would be. So they're now editing their comments. That's how bad it's gotten for them, because that was something Charlie Kirk was against. And then Charlie Kirk reveals Charlie's final book. None of these things are negative here. I'm shocked you all left the comments on, and then I realized they're being removed. Right, so this is one that got through. But, again, see, this is the newest video here. This one's up for, this was up for 58 hours. This is the one with all the hostile comments. And so they're removing comments now. But if you can see it here, they're getting no views, right? This has got 4,000 views. The Glenn Beck thing has 26,000 views. Netflix and Monopoly, 3,000 views, right? And so, the ones that get views are ones where you'd usually find all the negative comments. And you could count the comments and see how many have been deleted. I'm not going to do that. But, we've seen this in the past. Every time I've read the comments, they're all pretty hostile. With this one being the best one here, this is top comment here. We are, see if I can find it again. It's Candace Live. Something doesn't feel right. How's Bill Bro still uploading? This guy is fake and gay. That's the best one. All right, let's take a look at a few of these videos just briefly.
now. Brandon Dre, you're the manager of Frontlines TPUSA. You're also a reporter. You started as a reporter. Now you're running it. And I would
Blake Neff, this is one of the famous the Neff boys.
say that of all the sort of divisions or projects within Turning Point, Charlie was
Look at this altar here. So Charlie went to Oregon, so there's the Oregon Ducks. That's the bullshit 47. Is that another little donkey? This is stuff this is for his kids. This is the chair they always leave empty that Charlie used to sit there. and there's Stop God up here, like Stop God.
And I would say that of all the sort of divisions or projects within Turning Point, Charlie was potentially the most excited about Frontlines. I can't say that for sure, but there was times I remember conversations when we were dreaming up what Frontlines was going to be and could become. He was so bullish on Frontlines. So why don't you just describe what TPUSA Frontlines is as a starting point?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, Charlie was the original Frontlines reporter, right? I mean, he was out there demonstrating what it's like to be a man in the arena. And
What? He's not a reporter.
we're just carrying on that mission, right? So out of the 2020 riots with BLM and protests and all that stuff, a couple years into it, Frontlines emerged as this like on the ground journalism wing of Turning Point USA, where we're going
Another gay fucking dude, right?
now and covering these protests, these riots, and we're getting this exclusive, raw, unfettered.
Is their studio like allergic to testosterone? Like do they not fucking
on the ground footage and posting it directly to social media, so that way people are getting the real truth of what's happening out there instead of the main.
Okay, so this is supposed to be dangerous work, right? They're gonna get in how dangerous it is, and all this bullshit, and like to go after these liberals, and because you might get some little furry loving dude to fucking assassinate you with a caliber bullet that would obliterate your head. It's just so bad. So here's a good AI thing. I'm not gonna watch the whole part. You're gonna get the idea of it.
Welcome back to Jake GTV News. Our FBI still thinks it's Tyler Robinson.
Gosh, I freaking love Israel. They're always the good guy.
Chloe and Michael, good morning. We're here outside Utah Valley University, where they literally paved over the scene the following Sunday. If this were a normal crime scene, these people would have been prosecuted for tampering with evidence. Good thing most people are triple boosted.
We want to make sure there's literally no evidence left over, guys.
Isn't this illegal?
These people are so AI, right?
Yeah, apparently doing construction on the Sabbath day in Utah is actually totally normal.
Right, and let's not forget that Charlie had a Superman-like neck. Let's get a demonstration.
I don't think this is going to help to stop the conspiracy theories. His head fell off.
A 30-06 would have been a horror show.
Whoa there, Ching Chong. We're not supposed to question that.
Listen, pussy, the only people who still believe it are groypers and Zionists.
Do you believe the Jews killed Charlie Kirk? That's one of the conspiracies out there right now. What's your position on that?
Look at this heterosexual guys here. Look at these two heterosexual pundits. This guy who can't wait to put on a dress, and this guy who doesn't date women or have sex with them, and that shows how heterosexual he is.
I don't believe that. As it stands right now, I think it was Tyler Robinson.
Yeah.
So if this 30-06 had hit Charlie in the neck the way we're told, it still could have gone through a concrete wall behind him and hit someone on the other side of the concrete wall.
This is the guy that was martyred for fighting Israel? If you think that, I feel sorry for you, because you are retarded.
Thanks, Nick. Finally, after all your antiseptic rhetoric, you've decided to join us on our mission to shut it down. Now, Tim Pull, give Candace a piece of your mind.
Candace Owens is a fucking evil scumbag. She is a degenerate cunt.
Tim Pool jumping on the airwaves with big estrogen energy telling us we're evil.
The estrogen energy, the people are picking up on what I've been throwing down here.
She doesn't fucking deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit.
Oh my gosh, he is so cranky today.
Yeah, that's what we call high estrogen, total puss.
Let's hear what she actually said instead. Go for it, Candace.
There are people at Turning Point who Charlie texted the night before and said they're going to kill me.
Shut it down, Candace. He said go max to Tucker, and we pulled all our donor money. He was our best.
The best part is this right here.
Goium, and it was his fault for messing that up.
Just because a 30-06 can take down large game animals doesn't mean we won't use that as our narrative. It's not an easy task blaming a patsy. Erika, play the sympathy card.
Again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us.
All right, this is great. I'm going to stop there. This is 8 minutes long. You get the idea. This is something on Twitter. And I don't know how you would find it if you want to watch the rest of it. But, you know, quality. Let's get back to TPUSK. There's a little bit more here I want you to see.
Drunk drawer, and it was just all us.
Shabbat shalom. What do you think of Erika?
Oh, great. You must watch Ian Carroll. Well, I watched Nick, and he told me Tyler was behind it and a 30 at 6 was stopped in the neck. So stop with the conspiracy theories.
Yes, I believe in our judicial system. I do. When you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
This is going to be read as Meghan Markle syndrome, okay? Meghan Markle syndrome.
All right, so you get the idea. All right, this looks like it's got potential here.
Was there a group? Was there multiple groups? Were there multiple people? Was there money involved? Where would that money come from? Was it foreign or domestic?
Wait, let's go back.
I just encourage people to read the charging document. Now, there are legitimate questions that you could ask. Did people know things beforehand? Did people were they queued up? There seemed to be stuff on social media that suggested people knew this was going to happen or something was going to happen. I want to see where those investigations are at. I want to see where those investigations
You're going to have to do those investigations yourself because Charlie didn't trust the fucking government. Charlie's number one thing is fucking not trust the government, whether it was Trump's government or not. He didn't trust the government, like the fucking bureaucracy. He didn't trust the FBI. Like, you're going to wait for them to investigate when he didn't trust the institutions that are doing the investigation, right? When did this guy trust these guys, you know? When did this twink trust anybody?
Was he radicalized by somebody? Was there a group? Was there multiple groups? Were there
Yeah, but it's all stemming around this one guy with a gun that can't be used, right? It's fucking stupid.
People? Was there money involved? Where would that money come from? Was it foreign or domestic? I'm open to all of those questions, but I just encourage people, read the charging documents. They're very, very thorough.
Here, Andrew, here's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not hearing any of this stuff about Butler, Pennsylvania. I'm not hearing any of this. I'm not hearing that the Jews tried to kill him, that, Trump's own staff tried to kill him. We heard some that, was the secret.
Yeah, that was fake as fuck. So anybody who pushes this idea, I mean, either you're just incompetent or you're just out lying. Like, Trump thing everyone should realize by now, especially since Trump's turned out to be a total piece of shit, and that he's always been a lying sack of shit, this WWE-style ketchup gate bullshit. Check out my playlist. It's exhaustive in all the ways this is fake, right? The Trump thing. But this is the typical Glenn Beck.
Service in on it was the FBI. What did they know? When did they know it? How come there's this cover up, et cetera, but not the kind of stuff. Not that Melania was in on it.
She was totally in on it, right? She was banging that dude, Melania. Melania was, Melania was the furry loving transgender of the Butler, Pennsylvania thing.
And it just seems relentless. It won't stop. I mean, I was with you for the fundraiser on Saturday, and you guys didn't ask me to come. I came out of my own support of your organization or whatever, and I'm sitting there and I post something on Instagram. My gosh, the response from the people on my Instagram was, "You must have sold out. Well, you're getting money from Israel. You're doing," and I'm like,
so you are going against your own audience as well? Are you guys retarded? This means they don't care about their audiences. I mean, this is where they make their money. They're willing to destroy their careers over this thing. Why would you do that? Why would you give a shit about them? Isn't he fucking Mormon or something? Why would he give a shit about TPUSK? Why would he be coming on interviewing Erika Kirk? Coming out and saying you guys are just all fucked up and you're just wrong, and how dare you think these things, and why would you even question this widow who just received this fake acting fucking bullshit widow, grifting fucking widow, professional grifting widow in that costume. I mean, the memes and the shit that's coming out, right? Mostly from the right and people used to be fans of your show, all you guys' shows. And why would you be telling your audience they're full of shit? This is fucking internet suicide, right? I mean, because you're not fucking justified in doing that. It is some self-righteous bullshit, right? Like, this is, yeah, you're getting run because everybody fucking, this isn't a battle between Erika Kirk and Candace Owens. This is a one-sided victory where you're getting fucking slaughtered. And your one recourse is to say, trust the authorities and trust us, we're good Christians, right? It's like fucking nobody's buying that shit. Her act is really bad. Like, they dislike her. And they, TPUS Gay had to Judas, some of them, the organization had to Judas Charlie, because somebody had to, right? Like, this is a Judas move. There was insiders involved in this.
What is happening? It's the only way I can.
You guys are being exposed as being shills for Israel. That's what's happening, brah.
I've done this for 49 years now.
And you've been a piece of shit shill the whole fucking time. You've been the worst. The fact that you have an audience is remarkable at this point. Like, this guy's worse than Alex Jones. He's an Alex Jones knockoff. And he was like even crazier and weirder than Alex Jones.
And I've seen a lot of stuff in 49 years of broadcast.
And does he not seem gay as well?
I've never seen anything, like Charlie Kirk's funeral. I prayed for that for 20 years, a revival. I prayed. I stood in that room and I felt the Spirit of God. And God.
Are you shitting me? That gaudy piece of shit non-funeral with all those fucking demons that they rolled out on stage? You felt the presence of God there? That was the fucking worst, right? Of course he didn't. He can't feel the presence of God. Like, his fucking heart. He's just fucking chill, right?
God came in, and when people started talking about politics, he withdrew. And they started talking about God again. He came back in. It was like unreal. I've never felt anything like it before. A miracle, a Moses-sized miracle.
A Moses-sized miracle.
The same thing with darkness here. I've never seen anything like it. What's happening is players are being put on the field. You are sifting, right? You're being sifted. And where are you coming out? Are you going to be on God's side? Or are you going to be on evil?
Oh, my God. And so 95% of this movement is on evil. That's what he's saying. You're calling all of us evil. All the people who don't buy this bullshit fucking story from a bunch of bad acting fake fucks. All of us are evil. And, like, that's just the wrong way to play it. How much shekels are you getting, bro? How many shekels did you get for this thing? Look at this sheckled up motherfucker, right?
And I don't think people realize that. Maybe they do, but I'm not sure. These are very important times.
Yeah, no, I actually really agree. I think when you see an outpouring of the Holy Spirit, like you saw at the memorial.
Oh, my God. All right. So these guys, this is what they're going to do. And this is going to be on Monday. I'm not, they're going to come out Monday at 5 o'clock. Hopefully Erika's there. And they're going to come out and pitch this shit that you guys are all evil. All their supporters are evil. And that Candace is evil. And they're on the side of righteousness and God. And Charlie's with them and not with everybody else. And they're not going to answer any of these questions. They're not going to address anything that's suspicious on their end. This little twink is just going to sit there like fucking the mega minds of little angry MAGA twinks. And so, look at the size of that cranium, right? I'm so fucking, Jesus, this is bad. I'm not going to show you the other video I was going to show you. It's enough of the TPUS gay guys, but it's all there. Like, it's just a freaking circus. Okay, so thank God we have one non-gay defender of Erika J. Kirk. Erika J. Kirk is very popular amongst gay Republicans. But there is a Democrat who is, well, let's just see it.
All right, meantime, a defiant Erika Kirk responding to conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination of her late husband, Charlie, while vowing to carry on his legacy.
This was happening before Charlie was murdered. Both of us have been through the ringer of people will call you whatever they want to call you. They will. But I have seen it firsthand impact the people that I love, and I'm done. I'm done. And if people think that I was just going to...
We've seen this before. Let me find the guy here. They have him. Here he is. Boom.
Been a voice of reason from the Democratic side is defending Erika, saying it shouldn't be controversial to put our political views aside and extend the grace for a deeply traumatized family to grieve. But Joe, that begs the question, how far has the
liberal podcaster labels widow Erika Kirk a grifter who should have been kicked to the curb, and Fetterman doesn't want to have any of that. They got Fetterman. They got this brain dead fuck, right? Who's, one of the biggest shills for Israel. It's gross and dehumanizing to attack a widow with young children after just witnessing his public assassination. Yes, this fucking guy, right? They got Fetterman. You got Fetterman on your side. What else do you need? So, holy shit. This is wonderful. This is what they obviously do not care about audiences anymore. So I don't know where this is going, whether they'll just be getting shill payments to just come out and just piss everybody off and say stuff that no one wants to believe or no one will believe. And that's where we're at. Like, it seems where we're going with this thing. I mean, it's great. I'm loving it. Keep on going, right? Like, all these people are just committing internet suicide. You can't be come back from this, right? TPUS Gay and Erika Kirk, they can't come back from this. Like, even if they came out and said, reverse their position 100%, it's just too late. Like, they're just, it's like with Trump, and this is all the stuff with the Epstein. All these disgruntled Republicans and QBs and QAnon dopes and all these other people who, why the central pillar of this thing, they all believed in, that's what that guy was saying, that other guy from England, whatever his name is. He was saying this was one of the pillars of the Republican Party, was to get to the bottom of Epstein and hold these elites accountable, right? And so, which all of us know. And when they decided not to release the Epstein files, which is when this all started to happen, when Charlie Kirk was killed, when Trump was being implicated, and it's just crumbling. The MAGA movement is crumbling. And you have all these gay pundits that are pro-Israeli, and now all of a sudden they're all anti-conspiracy theorists. These guys who have been pushing conspiracies forever. Milo is the guy who said that on that, Tim Pool show. And these estrogen-filled, effeminate, gay acting Republican men who are, heterosexual because they don't date women and don't have sex with women. Right? It's a fucking mess, right? And they're just coming out and they're just saying, fuck you to your audience. That's all this is. Like, fuck you guys. Fox News, like the youth is not with them. Okay, so one of my viewers said that she removed her husband's, her video. But this is where the video is. The world is evil. The sound of this widow's weeping echoes throughout this world like a battle cry. Remember that line? She thought that would be a good line. I don't know if she wrote it herself. So there's the casket. This was posted September 12th, but I think the body was moved September 11th, right? He was shot in the neck on September 10th. So this was really done on the September 10th.
I love you. I love you. I know.
I love you. I love you.
God bless you.
So that weird shit, right? And then this, this is staged. Like, you're not grieving if you're staging photographs for Instagram. And you can say, oh, I sacrificed my grief so I could be there for the business. But you didn't have to do that. Like, you didn't do that for certainly any of those people. No, those people expected you to do this. His hands look fake, no wedding ring. This is his casket that he put there. This is there. This is her with J.D. Vance and Usha. So look, this is her moment. She's like, she's filming all this. Of course, she's gonna put it on Instagram. I mean, she whines about being private, right? This is her, all these things, right? Make sure that you see me grieving. Oh, no, stop, you guys, stop in the name of God. All this. So that's them moving the casket, which I believe happened on September 11th, right? And so she was filming when she's first seeing her husband. Like she can't just go pick up the casket, and that usually should be too much for anybody, right? That's just too fucking much. And then there's this. This was also posted on September 12th. So 2 days after he's dead, she's giving a speech, a business speech. She had time to make sure her hair was, like, this is not her normal hair, right? Her hair straightened.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus, Jesus.
Good evening. My name is Erika Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice.
So, why assassin? Why is it one person? Why was it a conspiracy, right? Immediately, again, do they even have this guy named? This is like September 12th. This is 2 days in. I don't know who...
I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life. And the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon.
Okay, the guy only fired one shot. So, there wasn't like the police got everybody out in time, right?
I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days.
Okay, so you can see it's already the stage. This is being staged. I could go listen to this whole speech, which I don't want to. But you can see it's already being, the fraud's being perpetrated. I'll have to look into the timeline. I have one more thing. I want to show you a little clip of, I have a marshmallow update. And then I have a little voiceover to do at the end of this thing. This is immediately, look, this seems off. The first comment. This is so I stepped on a bee coated. I've never seen anyone grieve like this just a few days afterwards and be so composed. This speech doesn't feel real. I'm trying to judge, but I trying to judge, but I ain't feeling it. Like someone telling me this is deeper than what is shown. What a bizarre video. It feels like it's really bad acting, really bad. What does this, why does this just feel so fake in my spirit? These are the comments, right? The way she's talking, the way she is talking normally, then starts whispering sounds weird. All of this is weird. I never watched this until now. This is actually so strange. So these are, how does anyone believe this is real? Please stop. Like, this is all, And, nobody buys this bullshit, right? And I don't know whether she, what's going on with her ability to realize this. See if there's comments here. And here they're better. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is such a crazy thing to post. Something about her is not right. Normal people mourn in solitude, not posting the corpse of their loved one on social media. Performative grief with a dash of grifting. Why would she allow someone to videotape her kissing him in the casket? She wasn't allowing, it was staged. All that shit that you saw was staged. So, why? Why is this so fucking bad? Why is she so bad at this? Why do they keep on rolling her out there? Why do they not see damages being done? Why do they have two beta males sharing one testicle, low testosterone having gayish dudes hosting a show and failing so bad? Why are they embracing the official story? I mean, none of these things make sense. And she got savaged day one. Like right off the bat, people were already she immediately made a bad impression. This is how she came out to the people. And people were already, and some of them were afraid to speak up, but like some of these comments came in later, but some of them were, more recent. But some of these are, not the day this happened. But even then, I remember some of the comments were bad like the first day, whenever I first saw this. Because it's fake. Like, people see through this stuff. It's so fucking badly done. So poorly done. This is my second attempt at marshmallows here. Let's see, they're much better in terms of the... I didn't let them be in the mixer too long. So they came out better. They're, totally like the marshmallows that, these corn syrup pieces of shit marshmallows that we all grew up with. So these have, I saw a video where somebody was saying that these are healthy and they weren't putting in the marshmallow root or the colostrum, just the beef gelatin, which people are eating organic beef gelatin as a supplement. And so the only thing that, you could say is not great is the maple syrup, and that's one of the best sweeteners. It has minerals and stuff in it. So these are the second version of the marshmallows. Came out a little bit more uniform, and like these things could be, you could use them on a campfire type thing, and they taste just like the other marshmallows, a little bit better. A little bit less sweet. I put a little less maple syrup in these, but yeah. Okay, so just I went and looked at it. September 12th, they already arrested Charlie. They had arrested Tyler Robinson. So they had him within custody. And these are how these things go. There's the event, and then they, the guy either killed himself or they start releasing information. And so September 9th, he was, Charlie shot. September 10th, information comes out. There's some stuff. We think we have a guy. September 11th, there's all that stuff. I guess he was shot September 10th, right? Whatever it was, one of those days. And then September 12th, they've arrested the guy, and Erika Kirk's already convicting him and saying this is the guy who did it, right? Like, so she already bought into it back then when none of the information was released, and, all this information was suspect. And so she was already backing the official story. So that tells you everything you need to know. Like, it was, she's part of the script. She's part of the team that's rolling out this disinformation project or whatever it is you ever want to call it. So there's all that. Like, that's pretty fucked, right? I mean, it's all pretty fucked. But this is the best they have to offer. Like, just look at these motherfuckers, all of them. I mean, every person involved in this, involved in the media. Look at how fucked up these guys. Look at all these right-wing pundits. They're weird. If they're not gay, they're weird. Whatever it is, right? They're not like, average people. They're not like the people they represent, right? They're not smarter. They're not more interesting. They're not, better to listen to. I mean, Candace Owens has a certain knack for storytelling and presenting these, whatever they are. But, it's so fucking degraded. Like, this is what I always say. Like, why would you even believe that we could fix this system when this is the best of the bunch, right? This is the politicians, the media people, mainstream media people, the people on social media that are promoted and brought up to the forefront. It's just, a big bag of shit, right? Like, it's just horrible. And it's like, I mean, how can a race of such people ever survive? Like, how can you think that these are the godly people like Charlie Kirk, who shekels up and gets hundreds of millions of dollars and pretends to be, a Jesus person and, celebrates the Shabbat and writes these shitty books and has this wife who's some kind of an operative. And the whole thing is just like fucked, right? Like, it's so bad. Like, Erika Kirk, right off the bat, people saw through her. And why would they push that out? Like, did they think people are that fucking stupid? Or they just don't give a shit? Or that's part of the distraction? Or, they want people to hate her? Or, whatever this thing is, right? But either way, there's going to be nothing. Nothing good is going to come out of this. No truth, no resolution, nothing that advances the human cause, nothing that, makes you feel good about the way that this ends up being handled. It's just going to be fake as fuck, and they'll never admit to anything. This is like what I always say. And because the system is collapsing of its own depravity, which I say over and over again. Let me see if there's any comments here. Okay, so I just ate lunch and had a second cup of hot chocolate. Or hot, whatever it's called, cacao. And I was going through the various channels, and I looked at Fox News, and it was the 5, and they were talking about a vaccine. This woman was really ultra excited. And they had a guy on in the middle. I don't know what he was, a big pharma guy. I don't know what he was. But they had a vaccine that negates the effects of fentanyl. So you take the vaccine. If you take fentanyl, you don't feel high. It somehow triggers your immune system against fentanyl. God knows what the side effects are of that. Somebody just sent me a video with a prostate medication. They said it has hilarious side effects. They mentioned in the comment, I haven't got a chance to watch it yet. So, and I don't know if it's the right commercial, but they're all kind of similar. But anyways, so I was thinking about this thing with Erika Kirk. So, like the first ladies, they don't love them. In fact, the first ladies are often less liked than the first, the president. The president's poll numbers go down, and the first lady numbers don't go down with them. But they don't necessarily like her. Oftentimes when you take a celebrity and their wives, the wives is also often, women might be jealous of her, or there might be any number of reasons why when you have a male celebrity and the wife. It's hard to be the wife of a celebrity is what I'm saying, right? And, in this case, Charlie Kirk was never organic in his becoming whatever he became because he was backed by so much fucking money. Ben Shapiro is the guy who was, put out there. And as much as Candace Owens is shitting on Barry Weiss, she doesn't mention how much money Charlie Kirk got from these Israeli donors and all the media outlets and these social media websites, social media platforms were pushing him. He got the A treatment. So, to think that this guy was just really loved and he made it on his own is silly because he was completely propped up and put out there like any kind of person that's controlled. And so if he wasn't all that well liked, Erika was far less likable, right? Nobody gives a shit about this Shabbat. How many fucking Christians are going to go out and practice the fucking Shabbat and then going to practice the Saturday Sabbath? How many are going to turn off their phones? Like, it's a silly fucking idea. Like, these radical ideas, I talk about meditation and finding God within you, and I can make the strongest case in the world for it. I can demonstrate to you, why it's helped me or, the knowledge that I have, the stuff that I have, the insights that I have here, all the benefits I received from it. And, how many people are going to do it? Like, it's, 1,000 people out of millions who've watched my videos, right? Who've heard me talk about this. You can't really influence people and, things that they don't know about, anything new, anything different, anything extra. Like, people want to, with their religious practice, they want to do the bare minimum. Most people don't, they want to be religious, maybe on a social level and, whatever it does for them. But they want to do the bare minimum. In India, they have these gurus. And the gurus negotiate, and you pay the guru a certain amount of money, and they perform some ritual or rite for you. And you think you have something good happening for you when you die or whatever it is. You feel like you're getting blessed. But, for the most part, people want to do the bare minimum. They don't want to be critical thinkers. They don't want to read the scriptures themselves. They don't read the Bible. They don't, they're not into it, right? And Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk were kind of radical about what they were proposing. If you hear them talk about it, very few Christians are going to get behind that stuff, right? And so I'm sure people didn't like Erika Kirk just in general. And I don't know how much of this played into them, whether they chose her for that reason or they had no idea this was coming. But she doesn't fucking play well in front of the cameras. And she's annoying, and she's not somebody that people like. And the people over at TPUS Gay, if they substitute Charlie Kirk, like a guy who was just like Charlie Kirk, and they put him in there, people would still compare him negatively to the other Charlie Kirk. Let's say he had a cloned version of Charlie Kirk that was a better speaker, smarter, just was better on every level, and they put that guy in there, and he still wouldn't do as well as Charlie Kirk. It's hard to replace people, right? And you have to win people over and all these things. You go through a whole path. I said that with the masters of the Sajmark system. The third master of the Sajmark system was like one of the most accomplished human beings. I mean, the best human being I ever met in terms of, what he accomplished even on the material level. He spoke like 20 some odd languages, like 29 languages. He had some grasp of them. He could speak them or, whatever it was. He was fluent in a number of them, right? And he was brilliant on so many subjects. He was financially, he was very successful in the material world. And he was just a really smart person that was just really good at everything, right? And did very great work on so many different levels. And, he micromanaged the system. And, over time, when you get a job, he got the job as the master and president of the system. And he wasn't as good on day one as he was, 30 years later, right? Like he did the job for 30 years. A volunteer job you don't get paid for. I mean, it's a labor of love. But everything you get better at over time. Like, I couldn't replace myself now when I first started. I'm a much better speaker. I'm a much better, I went through a lot of different things to hone my skills and just my own personal cleaning and development as a spiritual person and all the things that help me have insights here. And so I used to say this about Charlie. If he replaced, if his younger version replaced himself now, people would reject him. And, because they're comparing his younger version, even if somebody was as good as him at all these levels, the person would be starting off at the job. And you can't compare somebody when they're at the height of their abilities and after they've done 30 years of epic work to somebody who's just starting. I knew the next guy was going to be fucked, right? Because that's what happens. And so even if they had a great person over at Turning Point TP Gay, it wouldn't translate. And so when Erika came out, it was so fucking weird, and these guys suck so bad, it made the whole thing just implode, at least in terms of the public support. And, that shit isn't going to get better because Erika Kirk is unfucking likable. And, I don't know if she gets it or if people are giving her feedback, but the way that she comes across, it just doesn't register. The way she says these things and, these big dramatic things and pauses and the whispering and all the ways that she acts. I mean, not just the grieving part, but the way she talks about Christianity, the way that she's talking about that book and, trying to sell it to people, and has this unrealistic expectation of how much people are willing to do, how much what they're willing to change, and how much they really care about any of these things. And so she's clueless. And when she just says stop, thinking she's going to stop the fucking internet when nobody likes her, even if they liked her, they're going against 80% of the people who believe, or 90% at this point for her, people who are against her, or people who believe in these so-called conspiracy theories, and the people are truthers, and you're telling them they're evil and they're full of shit, and this is a virus, a mind virus, and all these other things that they've said. And it's like insulting to them on top of it. They don't even like you, right? So, she came in unlikable, and she's gotten more so. And she's never going to be liked. She's a person that, is never going to have her own audience and her own following. I mean, she can have a handful of people that dig her, but it's a small percentage. Like, she's a small percentage person. She's just, she doesn't have the stuff in her that will attract people to her. She repels people. And, the few people that stick with her, I mean, a big portion of that is because of Charlie. I mean, in terms of her own likability. Remember Hillary Clinton debated Barack Obama. Everyone thought Hillary Clinton was going to win that nomination. And Barack Obama was kicking her ass. And the subject talked about likability. And she even said, that he's more likable than me, like trying to mock that as like not being important. And Barack Obama said, she's likable enough, right? Like it was this whole fucking thing. And so, likability is like everything in this kind of situation. And if you don't have likability, then you shouldn't be on the internet. You shouldn't be running these things. If you're unlikable, and some people are, and she's one of them. Okay, so I was talking about, how you have to figure out how to talk to your kids about all this stuff. And your kids, no matter what you do, you're kind of screwed, right? If you don't tell them and they find out later, they're like, why didn't you tell me? If you do tell them, they think you're weird and they rebel against it, like truther stuff. Okay, I have a comment on this. My dad, anti-hippie, didn't believe in the moon landing in 1971. First grade through sixth grade, I got in trouble for repeating the same of my dad's beliefs on Martin Luther and JFK. My dad would say he was the worst president, crooked and happy. He was poo-pooed. Yikes, LOL. Talk about early age to be confronted, laughed at by kids in school, teachers, and the principal. It really affected me then, but 55 years later, my dad was 100% right. So, you never know how it's going to go, right? But most people will just so stubbornly get pissed off at their parents and think of their parents being weird, they'll never admit that they were right. I mean, that's how it is, and it's unfortunate. And, the ingratitude of our American society, the ingratitude we all feel for our parents, or not all of us, but most of us, and all our kids are ungrateful for us. It shouldn't be that way. It's the opposite of the way it should be. People should be they should be grateful to their parents. Even if they have shitty parents, you could find a way to, especially when things end up well for you, to be grateful for them. Because they played a role, even if their role is, to be shitty. Anyways, so this was the next comment. Good analysis, Paul. I thought I was fully awake, but when you said we'll never get the real story, it got me thinking. I do believe the real story will eventually emerge, but just not about Kirk, but about other conspiracies throughout history. I say this because I believe we are approaching the end of all things. The closer we get to the end, the more the truth will be revealed. As you say, Paul, the system is destined to collapse. I agree, it's unsustainable. But I think the collapse will happen after hidden truths are exposed. They'll take our guns, they'll make it mandate 15-minute cities, curfews, CBCs. The mob will rise then, martial law, CBC, news, control of our money. Then they'll switch it off for the dissenters. Truth will all be like Snake Plissken. Truthers will all be like Snake Plissken. Well, when I say that the truth won't come out, the truth is always there. You have the ability right now to perceive the truth, and everybody does. You can read what's called the Akashic Records, or you can intercommune with higher developed beings. And this stuff has been done by people. But you have to have a disciplined mind where you can, somehow connect you can channel, or you have to be able to decipher the truth within a sea of lies, right? The truth is there. I feel like I see the truth, as much as I need to see. But, there's a bunch of other bullshit with it, right? And so, the truth is there. So it's not that the truth isn't being revealed. It's always there. God is, if you're with God, you can always see the truth. The more spiritual you become, the easier it is for you to see the truth. And you only need to see what you need to see. And the other stuff is meaningless to you. What I'm saying about is they're never going to make it the official story. Even if it comes out, they're not going to admit to it. So what do Erika, Kirk, and these cronies over at TPUS Gay, and then the mainstream media, and Barry Weiss and Israel, what do they have? Well, they have the official narrative. They say this is the truth. The stuff that's on CNN and MSNBC, they're legitimized by the system. They have the authority. They're backed by the authority. And the authority is never going to tell you the truth until it no longer matters. Like when they come out 60 years later and say, yeah, we did, the CIA admits to destroying Mossadegh in Iran, the big Iranian scandal that destroyed that country. Pretty much everyone who cared about that is dead. And most of the rest of us already knew about it. In that movie, Argo, which is about the Iranian the American embassy getting hijacked in Iran and the hostages that killed President Carter's presidency. They talk about, in the beginning, this narrative of the CIA destroying Mossadegh, who was a good leader. And so, even in a mainstream movie made by Ben Affleck, they wanted to get that piece in, right? Like, people understand that there's a truth out there. That isn't the official story. But in terms of the narrative and the authority, when the authority says, hey, yeah, we've been fucking you guys over for years and we've been lying to you about everything, and here are the lies, then the authority crumbles. So they keep on repeating the lies, the authority does, no matter how many people don't believe them anymore. And so, when people don't believe the authority, then they make up their own bullshit. And that's what we see in the truth community. And 90% of the people, 90% of the shit that's out there in the truth community is pretty far away from the truth. And so, yeah, the truth is there, the first part. people understand the narrative has been, the narrative of the official story, the people who control the system and control the narrative, the authority is full of shit, but that doesn't mean you have the truth. But the truth is there, people just can't see it. Another example is when I did my videos on the big event that happened in 2001, everyone believed in thermite, and I realized thermite was bullshit. I figured out all this stuff, that thermite wasn't used in buildings. Everyone said it was being used. It was some fucking dopes put it out. That shill organization, architect and engineers put that shit out, right? They put this idea of thermite. But, if you look into what's done, the people who, there's one organization, there's one business that has done all the big buildings. They did the Superdome. They did all the big buildings. They were the biggest controlled demolition firm. The people that you fly in from wherever wherever their company is, if you have a big building, and they're experts, and they get the job done right, kind of thing, right? And they're the only ones, and they're the ones who did all these things. They never used thermite. And so when I said that, I got all this fucking pushback from the dumb fucks who didn't know about thermite. Thermite actually melts steel, but most of these buildings, they have pillars that aren't made out of steel, or they're encompassed in concrete, and they set the explosions. Like thermite will burn at a different levels. It all has to be done automatically. Like thermite, what are they going to do? Stand there with a thermite rod? You can't. It's not an explosive. And so when they set these charges, they all have to be timed exactly so the building collapses in its footprint. You can't do that with thermite. So I explained all that, and these dumb fucks didn't. They all attacked me. And I said the most likely thing is this guy Dmitry Halsov, this Russian's arm dealer, put out there, that it was micro nukes, these handheld nuclear bombs, ground zero. And, it made total sense, but these people couldn't get it because they'd already feasted on some bullshit secondary story from a bunch of shills, right? And so the truth is there for people to see, but people just can't see it, right? That's, so it's meaningless. And by the time the truth comes out, almost nobody cares about it anymore. Like when it comes out in an official capacity, if it's admitted to. But even now, they won't admit to JFK, so they're never going to admit to it. But the truth is definitely leaking out because of the internet and because of the time that's there. But that's neither here nor there, because most of it doesn't matter. When you guys are eating fucking rats, you're not going to give a shit about any of this stuff. When you guys are fighting over fucking rats and scraps, who's going to care about this stuff? The only thing that I can see any value in this stuff is when the system does collapse, you'll be like, oh yeah, of course it did. Of course it's gonna, right? That's the only thing. Like, once you have that, then really none of this stuff matters. Like, if it affects you personally, or if you have to make a decision, or, whatever it is, and there's going to be events that are, I should move to this state or do this or whatever you have to do to figure things out, and, whatever it might be. But in terms of necessary information, almost none of this stuff is, right? People want a distraction. I mean, people have their different, you can't, you have to have whatever downtime or whatever you do. This is your entertainment, whatever. That's why I make things funny here for people to listen to it here or whatever. But for the most part, this is useless information. Like I have, way more, and I remember shit. Like I've always had a good memory. And I have way more information about all this shit that I don't need any information about Charlie Kirk or Erika Kirk or Candace. Like I don't need any of that stuff, right? Like, I'm not going to learn anything from them. Like, I'm not going to benefit from them. That woman who made the marshmallow video, that marshmallows that I'm making every day, that's valuable to me. Like I'm using it, right? Things like that, things that are about homesteading and those things, videos that I go to when I have to learn something and I'm, doing something, or, somebody who knows more about something that I'm already, pretty good at, but not, an expert, and somebody gives me a tip that really helps. I mean, those things really help. Those are videos I save. I have YouTube Premium or whatever it is, and I can download videos, which is a great, it's a post-apocalyptic thing. Like those videos stay on your phone forever, even if, they're downloaded to your phone, right? So even if there's no internet, you can watch them. And so, like, there's, those are the things I save. Like, those are the important videos that I'm, going to go back to. Recipes, recipes and things like that. But, most of this stuff is just useless information. And all it shows you is, yeah, we're fucked, right? Like, that's all this is. You know, like every title of my video could be, "Yeah, we're fucked." Episode 232, right? You know, only on a material level, because, I mean, spiritually, when the system goes down, there's going to be, you know, a spiritual blessing that will open spirituality and people's relationship to God in a new way, right? Because, you know, people have no choice but to turn towards God. I mean, they'll have a choice, but eventually, like, it'll just be something you like almost have to do, because there's no way you can survive without God, because the system and the world is such a hostile place to live in. But, you know, in terms of all these things, like I say it all the time, why care about them? Because they don't affect you at all, other than you seeing, oh yeah, this is why we're gonna, you know, this is why we're gonna be fighting over rats, you know, whatever it is, right? This is why we're gonna be eating garbage or whatever, eating weeds and shit, whatever it might be. Okay, so I want to wrap this one up here with something that needs. I hope I remember to say this again. Like repetition's key. Like, people need repetition, especially things that they don't hear all the time, or that counteract disinformation and lies and indoctrination you've heard your whole life. So I don't remember to do it because things come and go. Like, people will quote me back 2 days later, and I don't know what they're talking about, and I'll crack up with what they're saying. Then I realize they're quoting something I said in the video, right? And not everyone's going to make it to the end of a 2-hour video, whatever it is, So, but this is. The thing about the essence of the Candace Owens versus Erika Kirk, or these two groups, or just Erika Kirk's perception and, not her perception, her position on this thing, is they're trying to sell you on the lone shooter, right? And so, it's the thing that they've been selling over and over again in these false flag bullshit things that stage things they've been doing forever. And so if you're a person who believes in the official story, you believe in mainstream media, and you believe, in the individual shooter as a reasonable, or that's what it's got to be, because they've tried to train you. They've trained dumb fucks to believe that, right? They've trained dumb fucks to think, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. People who are unconscious. And, in history, like, let's say some rich guy in town, like that guy Murdaugh in South Carolina, that family, and that, those murders that he did, all that shit. And, you have some rich guy who's controls this town. He has influence over the police, and he kills his wife or something, right? And so it just might be something that happened 200 years ago or something. Some rich guy, some lord, kills, a hooker or a wife or something. And they come in and they blame the gypsies, right? They blame people who are just passing through, or they blame a racial group, a minority racial group, and somebody who has no connection to the person at all. Like some just random hooligans happen to, break into your house and kill your wife, kill the guy's wife, or whatever it might be, right? The gypsies, the gypsies did it. The dingo ate my baby, this kind of thing, right? Something that, is possible and even plausible, but highly unlikely. It's very random. Like the killer is a stranger, right? That you're killed by a stranger. Other than like hitmen or in war, in terms of murders, I just asked ChatGPT and it's 10%. So it's, 1 out of 10 are done by strangers, right? And so, that means 90% are done by people other than strangers. But you've been trained in these scenarios to believe, random shooters and things like this, And so it's just not likely. And so when it's a 1 out of 10 scenario and they're trying to sell you this, and they, say, and they're the official people that lie all the time. Like, if you don't believe in the lone gunman story, then you don't also believe in the official story. You don't believe in the people who are the authority. And so that's the majority of their audience, and most of the people that, I'm talking about TPUSK and the rest of these people. And so it's a lot easier for Candace Owens because pretty much, it's like having the field, right? Like people who bet, and you can choose like the best team. And football is, it's not even very, it's not an easy thing to figure out in NFL football this year. But in basketball, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you can bet on the Thunder or have the rest of the field, every other team, right? And there's one team that stands out, but a couple injuries or, something happens or whatever, it's rigged, who knows, you're shit out of luck. And then the other, you have all the other teams, right? And so people who bet on the individual shooter, the lone gunman, everyone else has the field. And so, of course, they're going to find a lone gunman because they've been doing this for a number of years now and going back to JFK, and most people don't believe in that shit. So, they have to convince you something that, unless you're just some brain-dead, dumb-fuck sheeple, you're not going to buy into that story right off the bat. And then there's going to be these, these different levels of bad evidence or things, holes in the story, which always come up. And then just the shit that people post on the internet that's maybe not true or just made up shit. And so it's almost impossible to convince everybody of that. And so when you're on that side, you're already fucked, right? And when you're someone like Erika Kirk who's acting and not believable, and so all they have is that they're the authority. That's all they have. We're the authority. We're saying this, and whether you like it or not, this is what we're giving to you. And you can, eat shit and die. Who gives a fuck, right? Like that's what they're saying to you. Eat this shit, and we don't care if you like it or not. But that's all you're getting. You're getting shit, and we're not. We're getting imaginary, unbelievable shit, and unbelievable scenarios, and a story that really doesn't add up. But that's what you're going to get. That's all you're getting. And we're never going to admit to anything else, and so you can do whatever you want with it, but you have no leverage, so fuck you, right? And so that's where we're at as a culture. And, it sucks to be on that side, right? Like, none of the cool people are on that side. Like, none of the, it's all shills and, just pieces of shit. People that everyone hate, liars, deceivers. And so it's a lot easier to be on the other side. And so Candace Owens, whether you like her or not, or whether, and she's annoying and she has all these issues, and she lies or exaggerates and makes it about her, all the things, right? But she's got an advantage because she has the field, right? Like she has everything else but the official story at her disposal. And so she's, Erika Kirk has no chance. Anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. Its power motto definitely points to the apocalypse. And the ascension, everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.